Hey, this is John Fernay, the co-host of the Maryland Crabs, and I am here today with a Maryland Crabcake for your listening pleasure. What's a crab cake? It's not quite a full episode, it's just a little snippet. Stay tuned and check it out. And make sure you check us out on themarylandcrabs.com. You can follow us on Twitter at MD Crabs Podcast or find us on Facebook at the Maryland Crabs Podcast. And don't forget, subscribe, rate us, iTunes. Go there now. Good morning, this is John.
Hey, John, this is Beth calling you.
Damn, you are on time.
On time. I know. Well, I'm on a train, and trains are on time, so I have to keep my standards up to where theirs are.
Hey, Beth Nielsen Chapman joins us today, and Beth is a twice Grammy-nominated Nashville-based singer and a songwriter, having released 15 solo albums, written 7 #1 hits that have all been recorded by the likes of Bonnie Raitt, Willie Nelson, Bette Midler, Elton John, Neil Diamond, Michael McDonald, Kev Moe, Roberta Flack, Waylon Jennings, Indigo Girls, Faith Hill and her mega hits, The Kiss. And that list does go on for quite a little bit more, but I'm just going to cut it off right there. Her songs have been featured in film and TV, and on top of that, she teaches. She's an incredible speaker, discussing the bumps, cliffs, and mountains in her life, of which there have been several. Her husband passed away of cancer back in 1994, and in 2000, she was diagnosed with breast cancer herself, and might I say, kicked its ass nobly. Welcome, Beth Nielsen Chapman. How are you?
Well, thank you. I want to write down that great introduction you just gave me. That's a great bio right there. I'm great. I'm great. I'm on a train. My favorite thing in the world is being on a train, and I'm between Boston and New York, and heading into the city, and looking forward to coming back to the Rams set.
Absolutely. Well, you're heading south a little bit, and trains are so cool. They're so relaxing.
Oh, yeah. They're very humane. You know, there's not a lot of racket. Yeah, it's just great. And, you know, you don't have to worry about your guitar flying because it takes off and lands so gently. It's great.
Do you ever remember seeing that United Hates Guitar video?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
What a great...
I've lived that video. I've had bad things happen on many airlines, not just United. So, yeah, I'm not a fan of flying, but I do love trains. They're just humane is my word for them.
Beth, you're going to be here at Rams Head on Saturday night on August 10th, and the show is at 8 p.m., and you're going to be with Dan Navarro, and the show is at 8 p.m. The doors will get here at 7, and I did just check before we got on the phone, and there are a couple dozen tickets left, so if anybody that's listening wants to get in on this, which I do encourage you to do, head on over to ramsheadonstage.com and get them. But
yes, because last night I played this little place in Cambridge, and we sold out, so there's a lot of folks that come at the last minute, so get your tickets now.
I agree. We tend to be a last minute kind of a town, but I totally would love to thwart that notion, because plan ahead. Honestly, this will be a great show. Now, you have 15 albums, if Wikipedia is correct, solo albums, and 16 with your greatest hits, and the latest one you got is Hearts of Glass.
Yeah.
And this has been the first one you've had in probably a little bit of time. It's been a couple years since you've had an album out.
Well, the funny thing is I have this wacky career where I have a lot of time that I go to the UK, and I recorded a record called Uncovered, which was released in the UK and Europe, which I actually never got around to releasing in the US. That was in 2014, which I have copies of and I bring on the road here. But so it looks like a bigger lapse than there was. I was just busy putting a record out on the other side of the world. So I'm eventually going to get it out over here. But then I went on and just went ahead and did the next record, which is Hearts of Glass, which is my most recent one. So it's juggling hemispheres is the reason that there was a gap. But
that makes sense. Well, tell us a little bit. I mean, there was in the bio of the album, it says that these are songs that reach into us where vulnerability meets strength. And I really thought that was such a great little nugget of noise, right? Noise right there. Because we've all been there to a point. I mean, we're so vulnerable, and whether it be a breakup of a relationship, whether it's battling an illness like you've been through, and you know, humans are so resilient. I mean, we come out of this, and you know, we're ready to fight, and that's your strength. And so, where does this all tie in with Hearts of Glass?
Well, those songs are the ones I generally migrate to. You know, for myself, even when I'm listening to other people's material, where fragility and strength meet. To me, that's where the most impressive boundary line of creativity, where you go out to the edge of what you know and you step out over what you don't know yet. And that's a really scary place. And that's what happens when you're facing an illness or something comes up in your life and you're like, how am I supposed to do this? And I think art and songs and all the manifestations of human expression, artistic expression, is basically down to handling that very thing over and over and over again, coming through loss or dealing with fear. And I tell my students when I'm teaching a workshop, it's very messy. Creativity starts out kind of messy, but just even write down the stupid lines that don't look like they make any sense, because there's clues in everything, that's manifesting. It's, in order to build a really strong garden, you have to till the soil. You have to do a lot of damage to a lot of earthworms. You got to crack things open and get it pretty messy. And then you have the basis for something that's really, really good. So I just dig as deep as I can into my own life. And by doing that, and doing it in a real selfish way, really, kind of looking at myself, by doing that deeply, I write a song that touches other people because they see themselves in it. But I'm not writing for them, I'm writing for me. But then they see themselves. It's kind of a paradox, but I find it to be really a powerful thing to remind writers and other creators of doing, because that's where the good stuff is. When someone goes through something and they turn it around and they make a piece of art from it,
Well,
it then becomes its own self-powered healing machine that goes off and finds other people and helps them.
It was funny. I was reading an interview that you did, and I can't remember who it was with, but they talked about your songwriting process. And another great line that you had was, "Well, yeah, I just sort of write in vowels and then fill in the consonants a little bit later."
Yes.
It was sort of something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing it, but I thought that was like really great. And you mentioned when you're talking to your students, you say, you get the idea down, you get it down there, and this will all gel together eventually.
It's coming. Yeah, it's coming. And I say, even when you're in the middle of writing the song, you got all these lines hanging off the edges and you don't know where it goes and you don't know why you wrote that down, and it's all just so messed up. And you just have to, I said, just walk around, get a cup of tea, go to the bathroom, come back, and it'll start to reveal itself to you in layers. It will reveal itself to you as you go, and trust that it's coming and it's already done. It just exists in perfection a little further down the line. You're just not there yet. So what I always tell people is the most important aspect of being a writer, I think, is the show up muscle. To show up and be present through a lot of boring extra time when nothing's happening. You have to be able to withstand the nothing's happening stuff in order to be there when something is happening kicks in. I tell my students, if you've sat there for 20 minutes and nothing's happened, give yourself a pat on the back, because you just lifted 3,000 pounds in the gym of creativity. You just been working out and you're working that muscle. And I promise you, on the way to the dentist's office in 2 days, the whole second verse is going to come barreling through your head because you sat there for 30 minutes doing nothing. One of my favorite books on writing is called If You Want to Write. And it was written in the 30s by a woman named Brenda Ueland, Ueland. I think it's my favorite book on song. It's on writing, on creative writing. And she says, noodling, you have to have time for noodling. And I mean, you think about it, we're always input from our phones. And even when you're driving, the signs change, and, they're like on computers. So they're not even, they're not static. You can't get away from screens, and noodling and screens don't go together,
I agree. I relish the times when I can turn around and forget my phone. For a brief minute, I'm sitting there going like, oh shit, what do I do? I don't have, I'm like, whoa, this is kind of cool.
It's great.
This is great to do that. Now, you were a military brat growing up, right? Your father was in the Air Force, which makes sense for you to come to a Navy town, so that's okay. We won't hold that against you. And
I always feel right at home there because of that.
and you're one of 5. Now, are your siblings musically inclined?
Well, everybody's kind of got musical basic capacity, but nobody else has been doing it as their profession. My uncle Richard, my mother's brother, is a professional musician. He's in his 80s now. He's still playing and singing here and there, but there's nobody else in my siblings that have chosen to be a professional musician. It's funny, we all have our own. My sister's a clothing designer. My youngest sister in San Francisco. She has a little shop called Lola San Francisco, and my brother and his wife make this beautiful stuff called Billy beads, Billie beads, and they sell their stuff from in Bergdorf's and the Jazz Festival, and they're just like,
Wow.
so there's a lot of people making stuff in my family, and my other sister is a very talented artisan in terms she makes quilts and stuff, but as a profession she sews up tiny little blood vessels on people's hearts after surgery. So she comes home and embroiders. I'm like, Beverly, give it a rest,
Wow.
But that's her passion, So yeah, there's a lot of creative, crafty stuff going on. And I think my parents were a real influence on us in that, our parents were, you could put a piece of mud on the end of a stick and show it to my mom and say, I made this for you. And she'd be like, oh, that is so beautiful.
It's probably still hanging on the refrigerator.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, there was a great open joy about making stuff when I was a kid. And I realized that was really unusual, and I was very lucky. And I know most of the people that come to my workshops have been damaged at an early age to think they don't have what it takes, or they're not good enough. And I have ways of undoing that damage and suggesting things to help people kind of break out of that. Oh, sorry, we're now heading to, hold on.
That's
Back
okay.
Bay.
Back Bay?
You can Back Bay? I'm sorry, I'm in the gap between trains.
We ought to see if you can get like the conductor to blow the horn for us or something like that. But
I know, right? I'm standing in the part between the trains that moves all over the place. So here, I'm going to go into this area that's a little quieter.
Oh, no.
There we go. That's better.
That's fine. That's fine. But your son is a musician as well.
He's an amazing musician. It's interesting though. He is over the last year.
And that's not a proud mom speaking at all, is it? There?
Oh no, not at all. No. My grandson is turning 6, and he just wrote his first song. He wrote a song called "When Somebody Knock on the Door."
Okay.
It's so cute. He got a little ukulele. He goes, "When somebody knock on the door, boom, boom, I answer." It's really very sweet. I'm having so much fun watching him. But my son Ernest is professionally now. He has become a marketing branding star. I mean, he's got a company, and he's been using he tells me it's very similar to the skills of being a songwriter, taking different pieces and parts and naming it and organizing it. So he's loving what he's doing. He's got a company called Not Black Labs. I have no idea why it's called that, but they've been doing a lot of stuff internationally even, and it's just been so much fun to see him be so passionate about it. At first I was like, no, you have to write songs, you gotta write songs. But he's sort of writing songs in a different way. So he's doing great. And
where's he based out of?
He's in Nashville as well.
Okay.
And he and his wife Jessie are getting ready to have another child. So I'm going to have another grandson soon, this November. So
is it true what they say about grandkids? I don't have any yet, and they're saying
they're so much fun.
They're the best thing in the world because they go away at the end of the day.
You just hand them back when their diapers are dirty. Go, oh, here's your poopy baby. Bring him back later.
That's
No, I can't get enough of them. I'm the most boring Grammy because I'll just talk your ear off about how cute they are. So you got to be careful when I get on that subject. But it's truly the most fun I've ever had. I think though, and seeing my son parent and trying to give advice, but not too much because it's really not my call. It's been a very interesting dynamic where, the first time he said, "Mom, I got this," I'm like, "Okay, yeah, you sure do." Yeah, not my business. It's fascinating.
That's funny. Now you've really kind of split I don't want to say split it because it's not evenly, but between writing songs and performing songs and doing them, writing or touring. Do you have a preference between the two?
It's so funny. I kind of like a yo-yo. When I'm on the road, I love it. I get out, I'm like, do several dates in a row, and then I start feeling the urge to write, and I'm too busy to write because I'm on the road. And then I'm like, oh, I got to go home and write. And then I go home and I write, and I'm like, yes, I'm in my element, and I'm in the studio, and I'm recording, and I'm like, everything's great. And then I'm like, God, I got to get back out and play. So it's a real terrible dilemma. It's a terrible paradox and a dilemma.
Does most of your writing happen down in Nashville at home?
No, actually, every year I go all over the place. I'm actually going down to Lubbock, Texas in early September to do a week-long writing retreat for the Buddy Holly Institute, where I'm writing with writers, international writers from all over the place. I go every summer to Somerset in England, and Chris Difford of Squeeze fame has the Chris Difford songwriting retreat. And I've written with some of the most amazing writers I never thought I'd even get to meet, like Graham Gouldman, the guy that wrote Bus Stop when he was 19. Yep. I've been doing a lot of that. I do that several times a year. I went to Lafayette and did one, and it was fantastic. It was this Southern Louisiana Songwriting Festival. And I met some amazing musicians that I'm going to know for the rest of my life, and work with. And it's like a networking on another level. But then Nashville, of course, is the ultimate place to be as a songwriter. And I'm so glad I'm based there. And the only thing with Nashville is that so many people come there, and they come from all over the place. Some of them are moving there, but a lot of them are just like, hey, I'm only in town for 2 weeks. Can we write? And I get home and I get overwhelmed sometimes because there's so many things I want to do and there's not enough time to do it,
Well,
plus I'd like to see my husband and, play with my grandchildren.
details. Well, being in Nashville, okay, and we did leave this out, but one of the greatest accolades of a songwriter's career has to be being named into the Nashville Songwriters Hall of Fame. And
that's the biggest honor I've ever had. It's been amazing.
You nailed it in 2016, and that's got to be the pinnacle of, that's the Oscars of
I have salivated over their award since I moved to Nashville in '85. I've gone every year to the Hall of Fame dinner, and they have the most beautiful award. It's a hand holding a quill pen that's made out of bronze, and it's just beautiful to look at. It's, of course, prominently displayed in my writing room / studio. And if I'm ever working with someone and they're giving me a hard time about the lyric, like they're not agreeing with me and I think I'm right, I just pick it up and I hand it to them and I go, talk to the hands, okay? Talk to the hands.
That's
so
awesome.
It's really good for pulling rank. Yeah, it's really good for that. Yeah.
Oh.
But I'm very honored, and to me, the songwriters don't fool around. It's overwhelmingly amazing to me that, because I know some of the other songwriters. I mean, I know all the songwriters, and it just didn't occur to me that I would actually win. So I was shocked and so thrilled. And there's so many deserving songwriters that have been nominated and that were nominated at the same time as me. And, it's hard to adapt to the idea that I got chosen because they're such great songwriters. So I'm still pinching myself.
Well, a belated 3-year congratulations from me.
Thank you.
On that one. But,
it never gets old.
Hey, in your downtime and all the downtime that you have you seen any of the music movies out this summer? We're talking about like Bohemian Rhapsody, Rocket Man, Yesterday.
Yes, I've seen them all, and I think they're all great. I loved every one of them. I thought the Yesterday movie was so fun.
Yes.
And so brilliant. And I loved Ed Sheeran go, what about Hey Dude?
Hey Dude. No. That's awesome.
Oh, man, that was a great movie. And Rocket Man, I was fascinated by. I mean, I had people saying, well, it's a little artsy-fartsy. I was like, that is a brilliant, amazing movie. It was so interesting the way they did the sort of special effects.
Yeah, it was.
That rose up out of a normal, but then it went into this crazy thing and then went back down into normal. It was fascinating.
I thought it was really good. I was somewhat surprised that it was a musical. I mean, I knew it was sort of biographical, if you will, but I was sort of taken surprised by the the dancing scene out in the cul-de-sac and the whole 9 yards and stuff like that. But it was absolutely fantastic.
It's not what I expected either. So at first I was like, oh, I don't know about this, but Elton John's records are so good. It's like kind of like, why would you do them again with somebody else, even if they're really good? They're not Elton John. So I don't know that I would listen to the soundtrack as opposed to just going back and listening to the original records. But I love the way they did it, and I love the way they told his story. And I think he was pretty involved. So that makes me happy because that's the kind of thing you don't want it to be something you're not happy with.
Well, it's like Bohemian Rhapsody with Brian May. I mean, he was involved in it. So, I mean, you knew there was not a lot of creative license put into it. It was a lot of fact. So
right. And I thought that just the music it's just some of the most brilliant music. I mean, I started playing that for my little grandson when he was 3, and he knows every word to all those songs, all the Queen songs,
That's great.
And he goes around going, we will walk you. But that, it's just so amazing. And I love the scene where trying to win them over on Bohemian Rhapsody, and all the guys are just like, no, no, no. And it's like, that is the ultimate struggle of an artist, just saying, listen, I'm the artist, you're the business guy, but trust me to know what I'm doing here, dude.
Yep.
You know, it was so brilliant. It's incredible.
What's your favorite Elton John song? Not counting the one that he sang that you wrote.
Called, and it's never been more timely. It was written by Bernie about, he had an experience in America where he was somewhere nearby when they had a shooting. They had somebody just walk into a bar and start shooting people, this crazy man. And they took him down and they shot him. And do you know the song, Ticking?
No.
Oh my God. Well, go check that song out.
I'm writing that down right now. That's a sort of an
I think I have to get off the phone in a minute.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what. We're going to wrap it up real quick. I will let you get off the phone there. You've got.
I think my stop is coming up. So.
Okay, Ram's Head this Saturday night, August 10th,
yes.
8 p.m. Get your tickets. You are a breast cancer survivor. You are a grandmother. You are a rock star in the true sense of the words. What's your final message in breast cancer world or rock star world or environmental, whatever it is, to the people that are listening before we see you on Saturday?
Well, I would say to all people to go to healthychild.org and find out what not to get in your house and to protect your kids. There's a lot of great information about things to avoid. And I say get enough sleep and try to do something creative every day. Use your show up muscle. And especially come to my show at the Ram's Head on Saturday night. That's what I'd say.
Fantastic. Well, Beth Nielsen Chapman, get the hell off of the train. Have a great show tonight. And
thank you so much.
We'll see you on Saturday. Thanks.
All right. Thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye. This has been the Maryland Crabs podcast with Tim Hamilton and John Fernay. Sure to follow them at all the regular places, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and online at themarylandcrabs.com. Take a moment to rate us on iTunes. Now, get the hell out of my kitchen. Seriously, go!
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.